بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعزائي طلبة وطلبات شهادة الثانوية العامة قسم رياضة لغات، أهلا بكم. اليوم سنتطرق إلى درس جديد في الهندسة الفراغية وهو الضرب الاتجاهي والضرب القياسي. Welcome my dear student in our math program for second 3. Today we are taking new lesson in solid geometry. It's called scalar product and vector product. My dear student, look at the introduction about scalar product and vector product. My dear student, vectors multiplication. First, scalar product of two vectors, dot product. Scalar product of two vectors means dot product, A dot B, A vector dot B vector, or A vector scalar B vector. Remark, expressing a directing line segment in space in terms of coordinate of its terminal. My dear student, look at, we have two vectors, A vector and B vector. A vector represent OA vector. AB vector represent AB vector equals B minus A. Look at in direction theorem, if we have two vectors, OA vector plus AB vector equals OB vector from the first secondary. Look at triangle OAB. Triangle OAB has three vectors, OA vector, AB vector, OB vector. If we add OA vector plus AB vector, answer is OB vector. Or AB vector equals what? OB vector minus OA vector from the first equation or from the direction of XYZ. Now we have two equations. The first equation, when add OA vector plus AB vector, answer is OB vector from direction or from algebraic form, or AB vector equal OB vector minus OA vector. AB vector means B vector minus A vector. Example, if we have A vector negative 2, 3, 1, B vector 4, 0, 2, then AB vector means B vector minus A vector, 4, 0, 2 minus negative 2, 3, 1. The first component with the first component, second with second, third with third. By subtraction, 4 minus negative 2 equals 6. 0 minus 3, negative 3. 2 minus 1 equals 1. BA vector equal A vector minus B vector. By the same method, A vector negative 2, 3, 1 minus B vector 4, 0, 2. Answer is negative 6, 3, negative 1. What you deduce, my dear student? If AB vector equal BA vector, excellent student, no. But AB vector negative VA vector. We deduce that AB vector equal negative VA vector. Why? Because AB vector equals 6, negative 3, 1. But BA vector negative 6, 3, negative 1. Then we deduce that AB vector equal negative VA vector. Also, XY vector equals what? Negative YX vector. LM vector equals what? Negative ML vector, and so on. The unit vector in direction of the given vector, if A vector AX, AY, AZ belongs to R3, then the unit vector in direction of the vector A is denoted by unit A vector equal A vector of a norm A vector. A vector negative 2, 2, 1, then unit A vector equal A vector of a norm A vector. What is the A vector? Negative 2, 2, 1. What is the norm? Square root. Negative 2 squared plus 2 squared plus 1 squared equals negative 2, 2, 1 over 3. Also, we can express by 3 component. Negative 2/3, 2/3, 1/3. This unit vector in direction A vector. My dear student, if we have two vectors, A and B, two vector included theta degrees between them. If A and B are two vectors and theta measure angle between them, what you deduce? Product of norm of the vector B and the component of A in direction vector B. Scalar product denoted by A dot B vector. Vector dot B vector, what is the rule? Norm A times norm B cosine theta. Remember, my dear student, scalar product A vector dot B vector, if we have two vectors A and B included theta degrees. A dot B vector, A vector dot B vector, or A vector scalar product B vector equals product of norm A vector. Norm B vector multiply cosine theta or cosine angle between them. Example. If we have A vector and B vector, two vectors of angles between them 60 degrees, and norm of A equals 2, norm of B equals 8. What do you mean? Norm A equals 8, norm B equals 4. Find A vector dot B vector or A vector scalar product B vector. Solution. A vector is equal to B vectors equals 8 from the given. Then we deduce that norm A vector equals 8, but norm V vectors equals what? Norm V vector equals 4. A vector dot B vector equals norm A, norm B cosine angle between them. By using substitution about norm A vector 8, norm B vector 4, cosine angle between them 60. Therefore, answer is 16. Remark, my dear student, if I, J, K are the unit vectors of a right-hand system, I in x-axis, J in y-axis, K in y in z-axis, I dot I equals 1. This rule, remember, I dot I scalar I equals 1. J dot J equals 1. Also K dot K equals 1. Properties of scalar product. A dot B equals what? Equals B dot A. What you mean? This is commutative property. Excellent student. A dot B equals B dot A. Commutative property. A dot A equals what? Excellent student. Norm A square. If we have norm A square, we find it by using A dot A or A scalar product A. A dot B equals 0 when A and B are perpendicular. Why, my dear student? If we have A and B are two vectors. My dear student, if we have two vectors A and B are perpendicular, what is the scalar product of A and B? My dear student, A dot B or A scalar product of B equals norm A, norm B, cosine angle between them. My dear student, angle between them is theta equals 90 degrees by using the rule norm A, norm B, cosine 90. What is the value of cosine 90? X and 7, cosine 90 equals 0. Then by substituting about norm A, norm B, cosine 0, therefore we deduce that A dot B equals 0. Then we deduce this remark. If A dot B vector equals 0, we deduce that A perpendicular to B, or by using vice versa, A perpendicular to B when A dot B equals what? Equals 0. Excellent student. My dear student, look at other property. Look at associative or distributive scalar about adding. If we have A and B and C are 3 vectors, therefore A dot bracket contains B plus C vector, we distribute A dot B plus A dot C. We distribute a scalar product among addition property. Addition operation B plus C, scalar product dot A dot bracket contains B plus C means A dot B plus A dot C. We distribute scalar among addition operation. Distributive property. K is number belongs to R. K vector dot B vector equal A vector dot K B vector equals K multiply bracket contains A vector dot B vector. K is a real number. Example. ABCD is square with side lengths 10 centimeter. Find AB vector dot DC vector. Also AB vector dot BC vector and AB vector dot CA vector. Look at the solution. We have square ABCD. Remember, my dear student, AB and DC are parallel on the same direction. What is the angle between two vectors are parallel? Excellent student, 0. Why? Because two vectors on the same directions are parallel, theta between them is 0. If the AB vector, DC vector are parallel, angle between them equals 0. Why? Because two vectors are parallel. Then we deduce that AB dot DC norm AB norm DC cosine 0. What is the value of cosine 0? Is 1. What is the length of AB? Length of AB means norm AB. Side length of square is 10. AB equal 10, DC equal 10. We multiply 10 times 10 times 1. Answer is 100. AB dot DC is equals 100. AB and BC are perpendicular. What you mean perpendicular? Excellent student. We know that if we have two vectors are perpendicular, then the product of two vectors are equal 0. Therefore, measure between them 90. AB dot BC equals 0. Why? Cosine 90 equals 0. Norm AB, norm BC times cosine 90 equals 0, and then AB dot BC cosine 90 equals 0. Look at when we find AB dot CA. AB vector, CA vector don't start as a point or the same point. AB vector, vector start from A to direction B. C A vector, start from C to direction A vector, then different starting point. Then A B vector to C A vector we can put by using A B vector, norm C A vector, cosine angle 135 degrees. Angle between A B vector C A vector is 135 degrees. What is the length of CA? CA is diagonal of square. If square, its side length 10, diagonal 10 root 2. But norm of AB 10 times 10 root 2, cosine 135, negative 1 over root 2, answer is negative 100. We can put CA by negative AC and start from A. AB dot negative AC, AB AC equals dot negative AC, negative 10 times 10, cosine angle between them equals 1. Answer is negative 100 by using other method. This is another solution. AB, scalar product of CA equals AB, scalar product in negative AC equals negative AB dot AC by using negative norm AB, norm AC, cosine angle between them, negative 10, 10 root 2 AC, cosine angle between them, 45, because we have AB, AC, same starting point, angle BAC equal 90 divided to 45 degrees. Therefore, the same result is negative 100. The scalar product of two vectors in the orthogonal coordinate system. My dear student, if a vector equals AXI, AYJ, AZK, B vector BXI, BYJ, BZK, then A vector dot B vector equals AX BXI dot I plus X by I dot, and the same method or so on, we deduce that I dot I equals J dot J equal K dot K equals 1. Then I dot J equals J dot K equal K dot I equals 0. Why? Because I and J are perpendicular. J and K are perpendicular. K and I are perpendicular. When multiply two vectors are perpendicular, angle between them 90, cosine 90, 0, then I dot J equal J dot K equal K dot I equals 0. But I dot I equals J dot J equals K dot K equals 1. A dot B equal AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ. Look at the important example. A vector negative 2 to 1 unit vector equal A vector over norm A vector by using the same method, negative 2/3, 2/3, 1/3. My dear student, look at in the opposite figure, we have I, J, K in this unit vector in X, Y, Z axis. I vector, its component 1, 0, 0, J vector 0, 1, 0, K vector 0, 0, 1. Its directed segments whose starting point is the origin point O and its norm is unit length. Example: A vector, 2i vector, negative 3j vector plus k vector. B vector, negative I vector, negative 2j vector. Find number A, 2a vector minus 3b vector. B, find norm A plus B vector. After that, find A vector norm A vector plus norm B vector. Solution: my dear student, 2a vector minus 3b vector. We distribute by using multiply by each component of a vector. Look at 2 multiply 2i negative 3j plus k minus 3 multiply negative I negative 2j. Answer is 4i negative 6j plus 2k positive 3i plus 6j. After that, we add I vector with I vector, j vector plus j vector plus k vector or like terms. 4i plus 3i equals 7i, negative 6j plus 6j equals 0, 2 plus 2k. A plus B vector. We add a vector plus B vector by using component of I with the component of I in the two vectors equals I negative 5j plus k. This is a vector plus B vector. After that, we deduce norm A plus norm B, norm A plus B, or norm of A plus B vector. Square root after adding 1 square plus negative 5 square plus 1 square. Answer is square root 27. My dear student, what is the value of norm A plus norm B? Is norm A plus norm B equals norm A plus B? Look at, my dear student. Norm A equals square root component of A, 2 square plus negative 3 square plus 1 square. Answer plus norm B square root negative 1 square plus negative 2 square. Answer is square root 14. What you deduce, my dear student? Is norm A plus B equals norm A plus norm B? It's wrong. Therefore, norm A for square root 14 plus norm B square root 5. We cannot add square root 14 plus square root 5. We know that norm A plus B not equals norm A plus norm B. What you mean? Left hand side norm A plus B. A plus B is the third vector. SC vector equal add between A plus B. This norm of A plus B not equals norm A plus norm B. Don't forget, my dear student, this is important rule. Norm A plus B not equal norm A plus norm B. Norm A is length of A vector. Norm B is length of B vector. But A plus B, its norm of A plus B, norm of adding of two vectors. My dear student, by the end of the lesson, I am very happy to spend time with you. Thank you. Goodbye.